And hello and good evening, my friends. This is Cassandra Joan Butler. I'm Cassandra Joan Butler, and you are listening to Cosmic Connections. And I was so breathless, I didn't connect with my countdown, but here I am. I hope you are going to be there as well. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot to talk about indeed. Welcome to the full moon. We had the full moon Eastern Standard Time today, February 16th at 11:56. That's Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to talk about, of course, the repercussions of the full moon, not just on your chart, but on the chart of the world. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. We meet and greet every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I repeat Cosmic Connections at 9 p.m., but that's going to be off the Facebook page of the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. So please join in for both sessions if you'd like. This is not just about astrology, because I'm not just an astrologer. I'm also a psychic medium. So I also do mediumistic messages after we go through a review of the week ahead and whatever cosmic energy is happening. And I'm pretty breathless. I couldn't wait to see you today. And all day I've been gathering information and wanting to share it with you, because this is a high-powered week. It's a high-powered week because we have the full moon. And also something very specific is happening with the U.S.'s chart. We're having the first connection with the Pluto return. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm putting the chart of the U.S. on the screen as well. And so I want to say hello, happy full moon to Kathy and Amy and Donna and Chris and Leslie and Christine and Amy and Rose and Joan and Marianne and Tina and Barb and Lynn. Thank you for being here so much. It's great to see you. Sherry, Cindy, hello. Please share if you feel like sharing. Sharing is caring. That is, share this as I'm in real time, because as you share, you will win transit reports and prizes. All right, so I think you all knew the routine. Also, I'm very excited to say that I'm going to be talking about the affairs of the world and this full moon and the Pluto return during a class. Welcome to join. Even if you're not too much into astrology yet, it's open to everyone. And that's a Zoom class tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So hi, hello. Oh, thank you, Sharon Messenger. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Happy full moon, everybody. So the question of the week is this. Are you believing what you're hearing? And are you feeling that you are personally receiving messages? The Sabian symbol for this full moon is many birds on a large limb of a tree. Whenever we have a Sabian symbol, esoterically derived messages from an astrologer and a medium back in the early 20th century, in meditation, they received these random word pictures. Anytime we get the word bird, we know it's something about chatter and Twitter, literally Twitter. We'll talk about that in a second. And it's about messages, because remember, birds represent Mercury and the messengers of the gods. In ancient times, people would look at the birds and say, my gosh, they have special supernatural powers. They can be going between the two worlds. So today, around noon, we may have gotten some messages, and that's the message of this full moon. You want to identify where you find 27 degrees of Leo in your chart. Now, how to find that? You can go to my website. I'll put that in right here. And there's an option when you go into the home page, which will give you a free chart. And you want to see and identify where this wonderful 27 degrees of Leo is falling, because it's lighting up that area. And what a full moon does is allows us to see in the dark. And it's somehow related to the new moon intention you made back on February 1st. right? So that's how we work the astrology with lunations. Every month we have a new idea that's consciously or unconsciously derived. And by the full moon, we start seeing it take shape, right? So there's so much more, but I'm going to share some slides with you now. And let's see, sharing the slides. Okay, share slides. We are the world. Let's see. You want to see more of the slide than me. Okay, there I am. I'm still in the corner there. So remember, we're working through the area of the time of the year, which is Aquarian. And what is Aquarius? Aquarius is the world. Aquarius means humanity. It is the eclectic, eccentric, and unique energy that we all share. We share just simply for being human. Aquarius represents that which is unusual. It's your creative spark. And Aquarius really represents the differences that we have individually, but not the individual passions. That belongs to Leo. Aquarius, think of tribe, group, community, collectivism, think communism, socialism, tribalism, think the group. And also, little nugget for you. We've got these 12 full moons a year, and every time we have a full moon, it's in the opposite sign of the sun sign period. So, of course, the full moon during Aquarius is going to be in Leo. So Leo is the grounding sign of Aquarius. Leo is the grounding sign. It represents the individual spark, the passion, the heart's desire, which is basically the control of the context of the group. So let's move on with our slides here. One of the biggest stories that we've all been experiencing since the new moon in Aquarius has been the truckers' strike. The truckers' convoy, freedom convoy, whatever you want to call it, it's still going on. It's still unfolding. So as these are preliminary to what's happening right now. Some always interesting things happening in the world, but you may be aware of that. The Canadian banks were seizing the assets of accounts that had been gathering financial support from around the world to the tune of millions of dollars. So that's one fast fact. And, you know, they were really converging upon the bridge, the Ambassador Bridge outside of Detroit, and there have been arrests made. But still, in Ottawa, there is a contingent of truckers who are standing firm and standing their ground, as it were. Keeping in mind, we have Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. We'll get to the chart in just a moment. This happened today. I always like to do fresh information on the day that I'm speaking with you. So at the full moon, we have this letter to share, all right, with you. 16 governors are urging reinstatement of exemptions. And to be clear, from what I understand, this isn't per se anti-vaccine, because many, up to 70 to 75, 80% of the truckers have already gotten their vaccinations, right? But it's about mandates per se. So, but they are requesting this contingent of governors to President Biden and Prime Minister, please let us terminate the vaccine and quarantine exemptions. Could not have come at a worse time, because what's happening with North America? The supply chain. All right, we're going through inflation. Come on, let's work together. Remember, the full moon is a time to see an opposing point of view. So whatever your personal feelings are about this story, or your individual stories in your home, you're able to see a different point of view. The gift of the full moon is where you are feeling oppositional with another person, you're able to sit with them and get the other point of view. So this is one inkling with this ongoing drama. So here's our full moon. Let's take a look at the astrology of it. It's pretty amazing chart. Basically, I think I'll have to take a look at this a little closer. It's a chart of a wonderful yod. Now, in astrology, we have planets, when they make their angles or their aspects, that in itself tells a story, right? And so what the yod is involving the moon, which is the public, which is at 27 degrees of Leo, and it's inconjuncting. And inconjunct represents an irreconcilable difference that cannot be basically reconciled easily. There's two signs involved here, right? Leo and Pluto. And Pluto, I call it the energy of the Godfather, the authoritarian individual concept which works underground. Pluto is the underground controlling factor. So the moon, you could say, in your own life, well, how do you apply this to your own life, right? We'll get to that in a moment. But the moon is inconjuncting Pluto, which is the subterranean story we don't see with our own two eyes. So that there's a little discomfort there. And then the moon is simultaneously inconjuncting Neptune, which is smoke and mirrors and disillusionment and all sorts of fantasy, delusion. So this yod needs to be deposited with the empty leg, which is the sun itself. I know if you don't know astrology, that might sound like a little jibber jatter, but let me just make it very succinct for you using English. This full moon presents a situation that seems to be unresolvable, but it's involving control, manipulation, and power, and disillusionment on one hand, and the people, which is always the moon, at the other. And see how all the planets are kind of piled up here? We have some other interesting things as well, my friends. We have Mars, which is aggravation and action and will force, right next to Venus. That's in Capricorn. So there's a sense we want to rebuild and get on with our lives. And this particular Mars and Venus are at the positioning of the grand star point of Venus that took place in January. So for you personally, go back to January 8th. As the year began, you had some downloads. I want to accomplish this in my life for this next year. And so Mars is coming to Venus, and they're traveling for the next week or so together. So it's motivating you to achieve your ambition and your dream and to rebuild some area of your life where you find Capricorn. Okay. We also have, I love the Sabian symbol. Many birds on a limb of a big tree branch. I don't know if you all can see this very clearly. I don't necessarily want to read every word here, but this is the chattering, twittering birds Sabian symbol. And right here it says the symbol shows many people, many voices around, gathering together with those of like-mindedness. Although sometimes you're forced to be with people who don't share the same mindset. Overall, this can create some confusion. Gathering with people, shaping ideas, multi-level marketing, big business, government and bureaucracy, databases, switchboards, the internet and chat groups, birds and trees. Interesting, when I read this, I thought relative to the narrative of the truckers' strike, the GoFundMe pages and the other options to gather this money, they came out and they let everyone know who the donors were. Again, databases, big tech, the idea that we are being listened to. I'm being listened to, you're being listened to no matter what. But the big birds on the big tree branch are telling us various messages, which can be a little cognitively upsetting. All right. Chirping, chirping, chirping. This just happened 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago. Now I'm going to bring it to one of the major players, of course, in this narrative of the trucker strike, right? Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister. This happened actually 2 hours ago. This happened in the Canadian House of Commons. They erupted in shouts of condemnation against the Prime Minister, replied a Jewish member of parliament by accusing members of the opposing Conservative Party of standing with people who wave swastikas. Trudeau was a member, of course, of the Liberal Party, and there was this name calling and this chirping, and it was really admonishing the Prime Minister. And so it comes to stand, what's going on with his chart and the full moon? Well, here it is, right? And his chart is a good chart. When I mean a good chart, I mean we have good data on when he was born. In astrology, we really want to get the time of birth. So with his chart, I hope you all can see it. Here's his information. All right. It's December 25th of 71, 9:27 p.m. in Ottawa, Canada. And the full moon is taking place in his unconscious, in the house of the unconscious. And it's also very much activating his work, that yod that I was speaking of, that irreconcilable differences within his chart, and the full moon activating it is creating a little havoc in his one-to-one relationships with his partners and also with his work. Go figure, right? It's right there. But the full moon is illuminating that vulnerable place within Trudeau's chart, which is the 12th house. When we come from a place of unconsciousness, basically when the moon is in the 12th house, we should be meditating and getting away from the maddening crowd. So this is a very difficult full moon for the prime minister. One other comment, he's having the exact Chiron return in his chart. Now, those of you who know the cycles of life, we have a Saturn return when we're around 30 or 60. We have an Uranus opposition around age 40 to 42. But the real crux of becoming a spiritually evolved adult happens around age 50. It could be 48, it could be 51, and that's placement. That's when the asteroid Chiron, which represents our vulnerability as being a human and our greatest wound, returns in the chart. And he does have a vulnerability right here in the house of power, manipulation, and control. It's in his 8th house. He is obviously a world power figure, but it's next to his moon, and Aries moon conjunct Chiron. We know that this gentleman's personality sometimes is very instinctual, and he acts without thinking. All right. It's not a political statement, it's an astrological statement, but there we have it. The greatest wound. This is the greatest crisis of his prime ministry, his leadership. Canada has never brought out the Emergencies Act, right? And I understand the head of the police in Ottawa has resigned today because of this Emergency Act that was regulated by the Prime Minister. So there you go. That's pretty darn interesting. And we have more to share with you. This is the chart of the United States of America. Oh my goodness, right? We, my friends, are having this full moon also illuminating the house right here of the 9th. What is the U.S. most concerned about with this full moon? It is concerned about foreign affairs. Right before I came in to speak with you, I was hearing Twitter accounts of various sources talking about the 7,000 additional troops that are being regulated to the Russian-Ukraine border. And there was some, I'm above my pay raise. I'm not there in the Ukraine, but there's a lot of eyes geared towards the border this evening. The president of the United States had said, I wouldn't even be surprised if there was an invasion on the 16th. He didn't say there would be a predictive invasion. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an invasion. But look at this chart. The full moon today, friends, is exactly opposite the moon in the United States' natal chart. 27 degrees opposite 27 degrees of our moon using the Sibley chart. Sibley, Ebenezer Sibley, was a London astrologer which helped guide the forefathers to create this particular chart. So this is a very black moon, full moon. What do I mean by black moon, full moon? Black moon Lilith is the asteroid or placement. There's different versions of Black Moon Lilith. I use the true and mean node, or the true node of Black Moon Lilith. She represents feisty, fearless, and outside of the fringe, and she often carries secrets. She's often the spy, as it were, of the zodiac, among many other archetypal meanings. But as you can see, Black Moon Lilith is on the U.S.'s Mars. When Mars, of course, everyone knows what Mars is the attack planet, right? Mars represents war and anger and upset, and that's in our house of partners. Black Moon Lilith is conjunct Mars in Gemini, And of course, our eyes are on the Olympics and on Ukraine, and the ninth house and the third house are houses of transportation. Transportation. Now, one of the interesting things that just occurred here, even with the letter of the governors, was the appeal to Trudeau and to Biden to please let's come to some sort of compromise with the truck strike because of what? The supply chain, businesses, jobs. And well, of course, our friend Ceres, which represents food, shelter, and clothing, has just moved forward in the chart as well, affected by this full moon. All right. All right. So there you go. I want to see some comments here and say hello to everyone here. Good evening, Melissa and Dawn. I would like to say hi to everybody. Jolene, Shields, hi, Lynn, Amy, Kathy is the canary. Kathy is always a great sense of humor. Amy, thank you for your comment. Yes, how can everyone think this is normal? It's befuddling. Good comment there, Amy. And yes, Julie, it's nice to see you. I am excited about sharing with everybody here. Christine, aloha. Hello, my friend. Good comments, Amy. Hello, Franca and Melissa and Rhonda and Marianne and Melissa, Dawn, Chastity. Hello, a yod. Yes, the yod, by the way, in astrology is called the finger of God. Okay. Hi, Veronica. Linda. What? Oh, Linda, do tell. I did not hear about the flock of blackbirds in Mexico that fell to their death. Really? Oh, I can't keep up with all these stories. If you ever have interesting stories, please share them with me. Maria, hello, and Jean and Nancy. And I think I just put on my website here, Deb and Nora and Lois and Jennifer and Cindy, Paula, Leslie. Thank you all for being here. Hi, Rose and Sherry and Marianne and Patty. Well, friends, I think that's all the slides I have. I'm going to come back just to me. I'm going to say goodbye to the slides, but you can see all of this energy with the full moon is asking us a couple of things. Let's make it personal now, right? It's asking us to look at the story out there, and you can make some predictions with the astrology, of course. A tense week for the US. We've got that moon actually opposite to our moon. The emotional conflict. What's an opposition? I have an opinion, you have an opinion, and there's the people are at odds with each other. So if that wasn't enough, I'm going to be talking about this at class on tomorrow night. Please circle the date, February 20th. February 20th is when we have our first Pluto return as a country. Let me explain. Remember I said that Pluto's part of this yod with this full moon. Pluto's the archetype of subterranean power struggles, manipulation. It's in the sign of the elites. It's in the sign of the power structure. And when Pluto returns in the US's chart, we go back to 1776. It's the same type of transformative energy. And this has never once occurred in the US's history because the United States of America is a young country. So with the Pluto return, it's triggering the shadow within the US. It's also going to be affecting the economy. Well, you could just go to the grocery store and understand that, or the gas pumps. We are at the highest rate of inflation in 40 years. So in any case, we have this wave that's occurring in bits and pieces. This is not the first time it's going to be conjuncting or next to it, but it's a very important moment in US's history because we're going to be reshaping our values, our money, our power structure. And of course, we have this week with the dynamics with the trucker strike and all eyes on the Ukraine actually tonight. So, all right. Any questions in the room? Feel free to ask a question. I'll try to answer this. Okay. I miss you. Too, my dear cousin Michelle. Nice to see you, sweetheart. The charts are so amazing to me. And, as I've been doing this for first time I started doing it, we had high inflation. So it was like been 40 years. Anyway, it's not funny. I'll take a breath, I'll take a break, and I'm going to shift gears and do the psychic spiritual piece of cosmic connection. But please, I want to first let you know where this full moon is falling in your chart so you can use the energy to be illumined. The idea here with the full moon, we can see in the dark. And if there's a conflict, I mean, I really love that governor's letter to President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau. Hey, look it. We've got to do something about this. It's hurting the infrastructure. It's hurting the supply chain. Can we come to a compromise? Can we, reinstate the exemptions because we have to keep North America going? Please consider that. So during the full moon, there's conflict leading up to the full moon, maybe in your own life. And then you sit down with your adversary and then you try to hammer out an agreement. That is the best use of the full moon. So if you're Aries or Aries rising, this full moon is falling in your groups and associations and friends' house. You might be wanting to come to some sort of decision about becoming a little bit more social with certain friends, maybe joining a group or starting your own group. It's a very social time with this full moon, seeing in the dark who your true friends are. For Taurus or Taurus rising, this energy is asking you to look at the heights and breadth and width of your career, perhaps take on a new responsibility or maybe even look for a new position. The idea is to come to the table with some leadership ideas in an existing career, or maybe go on your own, right? So that's for our Taurus buddies and gals. For Gemini or Gemini rising, this energy is asking you to speak your peace and your truth. Speak, write, learn, perhaps travel or plan a travel if you are Gemini or Gemini rising. For Cancer or Cancer rising, remember that's the US of A, Cancer or Cancer rising, they're digging into their deepest soul and becoming more empowered, trusting their psychological and spiritual guidance to go forward. That's where the full moon is illuminating in your chart. For Leo or Leo rising, the full moon is activating your partnerships, how to become a better partner, who are your BFFs, how to become more committed to the people around you. That's for our Leos. For Virgo, it's time to take care of yourself, to use this full moon energy to enlighten and embolden your self-care so you're healthier. For Libra or Libra rising, this energy is asking you to play, to have more joy, to tap into your inner creativity, or maybe even spend time with children. For Scorpio or Scorpio rising, this energy is asking you to really take a look at your family, take a look at your home, and nest more effectively. Maybe do some deep cleaning or do remodeling. I don't know if you can, or maybe connect with your family members. And that one's for you, Shelley, and me. I miss you. Shelley's my cousin. She's my family. And then Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, third house is being activated, your communication and how you're organizing your time. That's on the short list for our Sages. Capricorn, take a look at your finances, how you're making your money, how you're spending your money, and your self-esteem. Really give yourself a pat on the back and maybe take one of your many skills and making that into an income stream. For the Aquarius or Aquarius rising, all eyes are on you. This is your particular full moon where you're shining and when you're being able to be a little bit more charismatic and just step up to the plate and be very confident and bold. For Pisces or Pisces rising, trust your intuition. The full moon is asking you to trust your intuition, to maybe rest a little bit more. Don't be worried if you're too tired. You might need to get away from everybody and nap more or meditate more or pray more. Your time will come, Pisces, when we turn into the sun sign of Pisces, which is coming up very shortly on Sunday, as a matter of fact. All right, friends. All right. You're very welcome, Julie. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, my friends, for this. Okay. Yes, Julie, that's a good comment about the food supply. I think that we, the people, are sending signals out to the people on top, our leaders, the elite Pluto, Saturn, Capricorn people. And let's do a groundswell of whether it be prayer or positive intention, and send that out, because Pallas Athena is being activated with this full moon. She's careers and jobs, but more importantly, Ceres is being activated. Ceres is food, clothing, and shelter. And when she shifts signs, I think that's a good omen that we're going to come to some sort of positive conclusions. Overall, I have to admit this to you, my friends, a Pluto return is a little bit troubling with the US. We're going to have probably some rocky roads with resetting our economy. And I don't mean the Great Reset. I don't mean the thing coming out of Davos, Switzerland. I mean, we have to band together and create a new economy based on authentic integrity and the actual values of the US. But that's in the offering. That's the promise of a Pluto return, getting the shadows exposed and then rebuilding. All right, let's do some mediumship psychic work. How this works, the only way I can do this equitably is just to close my eyes and pick people randomly. But if you want to one more thing. I want to thank the people who've been sharing. Sharing is caring. I'm going to pick a name, and then I will reach out to you if I don't have your email. And very often I don't. But if I don't, please contact me if I don't hear from you back in the next day or two. And I send out a free transit report. And the winner of tonight's is Jeanette Brush. And I know she's won before, but you win again, Jeanette. And I'll be sending out some reports in the email for Jeanette. I appreciate you sharing this webcast as it's going on. And how we do the psychic spiritual work, please let me know if you want to receive one. If you have to be in the room, I'll call your name and see what comes up. And it's a different skill set. You know, I've been analyzing all this data for you with the PowerPoint, and now I have to kind of calm myself and focus and relax and allow spirit to guide. Dear God, please allow me to serve. Please allow my words be filled with love and light, truth, inspiration, and healing. For the highest and best as we align ourselves with the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay. Marcy Moore. Marcy Moore, my thumb came to you, and I presume you're still in the room, Marcy Moore. Okay, all you have to do is say, yes, I know you're still with us, Marcy. Okay. Marcy Moore, Marcy Moore, Marcy Moore. Marcy, are you still with us? Just say, oh, yes, great. Marcy's here. Perfect. Marcy, 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 Marcy. The first thing I'm getting with you is more of a clairvoyant image. And I want to say that the way that you put yourself together, I'm going with the wardrobe with you, Marcy, that you've been working on a new clothing representation of yourself. I don't know if this is because it's a new job or a new way of presenting yourself to the public. But Spirit is saying that you've really been, you know how we talk about home decoration? You've been decorating yourself very well. You've been paying attention to your image, paying attention to how you're presenting yourself. And you should be well pleased with that effort because it's been successful. But there's a reason for it, because it makes you feel good. You know, whether this is the past 2 years, is kind of the joke is, right, that people are not buying slacks or skirts because they're doing so much Zoom stuff. They're purchasing shirts and so forth, as opposed to bottoms. I don't mean that at all. But with you, Marcy, I just feel that you've been paying attention to a new image on many different levels, also taking care of yourself differently. It feels like you are working to recreate a new dynamic version of yourself. And this has been something you've been wanting to do for the past couple of years. COVID got in the way, but now you're really working on putting yourself first and applying gentle encouragement for this new image. I'm getting a gentleman coming in from Spirit for you, Marcy, and I believe this is a grandfather. And at some point, he played with whiskers, whether or not he had a beard all the time, but the word that comes to mind is whiskers. And so he has some facial hair, then he wouldn't have the facial hair. But he has that teddy bear type of feel to him, that he was a jovial person, even when he didn't feel like being jovial. And he's saying that you have that same trait, that you fake it till you make it, that you're very good at putting on a happy face, even though you have a lot of stress with personal and with business life. And he is giving you a compliment for doing that, because that's our family's way, he's saying. Okay. That makes sense, Marcy. You're working with crystals all around. Beautiful. And I don't know if you can identify this grandfatherly figure or not, but he's very, very proud of what you've been doing in creating this new venue for yourself, this new image for yourself. He might not have been into the crystals, but he was into gardening or doing something with the earth. So he was a landscaper, or he loved working with his hands outdoors. Grandpa Joe, beautiful. And so Grandpa Joe is telling you that even though we might have different ways of dealing with nature, you do with the crystals, he did with, the birds and the bees. He's making a joke. He was a funny guy, birds and the bees. But he's talking about the birds. He was also a big bird watcher. And he basically is giving you that encouragement to keep on doing what you're doing and remember him. He wants you to remember him. I don't know if his birthday is coming up or his heavenly birthday, but when his time of remembrance comes up, think of him, maybe plant a flower in his name, because he wants to be remembered very fervently, specifically by you, because you represent part of that trait of persevering no matter what. And I leave that with God's blessings. He was always feeding the birds. Okay. And this is a good full moon for that, because we have the bird image. Thank you, Marcy, for being a part, and thank you for giving me the feedback. All right. We're doing one more tonight. Okay. And I'm with Jason and Jessica Pinnell. So I'm not sure if I'm with Jason and Jessica or Jason or Jessica. Jason, Jessica. Okay. You do have his chin in his eyes, so that's great. Happy full moon to you, Melissa. Jason and Jessica. Jessica here. Okay. You're Jessica, but there's Jason in the room too. Whatever. I'm with you, Jessica. As I'm tuning into your energy tonight, I'm really feeling this sense of excitement with you, that I don't know if there's a younger person or a child in your home or your family, but that you are, I want to use the word, letting your inner child come through. There is some sort of excitement about some new project, and it's very childlike. By attending to your inner creativity, you're actually doing love in creative work. But I don't know if you have children around you, but there's a real playful aspect as I'm tuning into your energy, Jessica. It also feels to me that whether you're doing more music or you're doing something with music and almost orchestrating some plays or something like this, that you're playing more, and that's creating a lot of more joy in your own world. I'm getting the word music, making music, having music in your home, and this type of thing. I'm also picking up a teacher that you had when you were very young. And she always believed in you, even when the environment was not supporting you. And I'm not saying anything negative about your family, but there was a point, like with any family, that people were concerned about other issues other than you, Jessica, the child. And this particular teacher, so this may have been 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere in there, she's coming in. She's in spirit now, or one of your teachers. And she is reminding you to believe in yourself, and that you had a shyness at that time, and that you're taking that inner child out and re-parenting yourself. This is kind of an interesting message, isn't it? She wants you to know that you had so much potential then, and you still have potential. You're still moving towards this creative spark and making it your own. From a psychic point of view, I'm seeing April of 2022 is a really, really great time for you to step into this creative idea that you've been playing with for a while. Okay, and I leave that for you with God's blessings. All right. You have many kids around there now. Yeah, I was picking up those kids, Jessica. Thank you for the feedback. Well, this teacher is saying that shyness was covering up a great sensitivity. There's nothing wrong with being shy. Sometimes a shy person is very sensitive and very psychic because they can't take in everyone else's stuff. And I think that's a sign of a great empath. So I want to leave that with you as well. All right, friends. So happy full moon. Please, if you're interested in more of this from an Australian point of view, I'll be going on to the Cosmic Intelligence Agency in about 20 minutes. And stop in. It's a fabulous resource for astrology on the planet. And if you're very interested or even a little interested in astrology, come to class tomorrow night. And would love to have you, even if you don't know that much astrology yet. Many blessings to you. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. And don't forget to be open to the messages. Birds on that limb. Trust your own voice, but you might be getting multiple messages that can be confusing. So before you go to sleep tonight, because this is a full moon energy, activate your own unconscious and ask for some messages through your dreams. So many blessings. Love you guys and see you next week. Bye-bye.